Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Tina. I'm a holistic brain health practitioner at Lifelong Enerjoy, and I am so excited to share this with you. For those of you who know me a little bit better, I have been dealing with narcissistic, sociopathic behavior or narcissists in my life for my entire life, and or more of my life than not. And I have they've it's been really hard. I just have I've recently in the last year or so discovered so much about narcissism, and it's just been so revealing and eye-opening, and it's helped me a lot in my journey. But one of the things that we say, hey Kate, for joining. Hi there, thanks for joining us. So one of the things is that the experts say is that narcissists won't change. And that makes so much sense in the light of my experience, right? It makes sense. I've never seen them have any desire to change their behavior. And why it makes sense, it's because it's benefiting them, right? And why would they want to change their behavior if it's working for them, right? So I get it, but it's unfortunate for those of us who have to deal with it, right? And if you know a narcissist in your life, feel free to raise your hand. I know that there's some famous ones out there these days, and unfortunately, they often have places. They often are CEOs or politicians and so forth. So this story really excites me. I have been in my journey because I have learned so much about narcissism. I like to help clients through their path of dealing with narcissistic people. And a client has recently come to me, and she's somebody I had worked with many years before, and she came back to me because she had a difficult relationship with a quote coworker. And this client is the nicest person you'll ever meet. She's always positive. She always has nothing but positive things to say about others. So she actually didn't really complain to me about her. I found out her subconscious told me, and that's another story that I can tell you. But basically, I got this information, and then I told her, I think you're having some difficulty at work. Can you tell me more about that? I'm getting that that's what we need to work on. So she revealed to me about the difficulties she was having with this coworker. And what the coworker was doing was that she was constantly watching her and hovering and criticizing. And then she would go to the management and talk about her, like tell her or complain about her behind her back. I mean, that's pretty crappy behavior. And I could imagine, like, I've experienced this before. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells when somebody is hovering and criticizing, right? I get it. I've been there before more than once in my life. And it is so stressful. And while this person doesn't officially have a diagnosis of narcissistic sociopath, the reason why is because narcissists don't go to the doctor and say, hey, can you evaluate me? Because I think I might have narcissistic sociopath, right? They would not, they hide their behavior pretty well if they go see help or go get help. And they rarely get tested for it, right? Because usually they don't even think that they need help, right? So, because again, it benefits them, right? So in the cases of sociopathic personality disorders or people that are exhibiting those behaviors, I like to do what I call with my clients an armchair diagnosis. Now, that being said, I should say that I'm not qualified to diagnose officially. What I am qualified is to read Google or to read the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that defines each sociopathic personality type or disorder, mental health disorder. And what we do is we go through and we say, okay, does this meet the, or does this person have this symptom and this symptom and this symptom? And all we're doing, and again, it's not an official diagnosis, but all we're doing is to help us understand what we're dealing with, which is really, really important if you're dealing with a sociopathic personality type. Okay, so when we did this armchair diagnosis, we got, I think it was like, out of the like 6 or 7 characteristics associated with narcissistic sociopath, we got like 5, which is usually a pretty good indicator. I think we got 5 or 6 or something like that. It's a pretty darn good indicator. You don't have to satisfy all criteria in most, but I don't know. in this situation, but I know that in a lot of the tests, you don't have to satisfy all criteria, so I'd be surprised if you did. But that being said, she certainly had a lot of characteristics that were just right on the money of being a narcissist. And so the first thing that we do when we deal with narcissists is we basically like have to sort of not get emotionally involved with them, not try to connect with them in any way. It's just not safe. Like we try to like stand back and just get stuff done, but don't like offer any information about your personal life or try to really become friends in any way, because that's not safe. They can take that information and use it to manipulate you, and you just don't want to go there. They're not like the rest of us. They're not kind. So that's, at first what we had to do in dealing with a narcissist is that narcissists like to pick on people who are empaths, and they like to pick on people who get emotionally triggered by them, right? They're not kind people, I mentioned, and they benefit from this. So what we had to do was, the first thing we had to do was we had to release any barriers or anything that would cause her to get upset by this person's behavior, right? So we had to release, we had to allow her and get her into that state where she could be completely calm, like sort of like a rock, and not be reactive if this person showed up again, which she would, because she was a coworker that she kept getting assigned to work with. So we did that. And then I added in a fairly new technique to me called the Court of Atonement. And the Court of Atonement is somewhat miraculous in my experience. I've had a limited amount of experience with it, so I'm afraid to endorse it too highly, but I've had some miracles, and this is a big one with this. So Court of Atonement is, imagine you've got a court system, but it's a spiritual court. Hey, Carol, thanks for joining us. Nice to see you again. So imagine it's like a court system, a spiritual court system, okay, that you bring the souls of whoever is involved into this court system, and there's sort of like these higher angels and spirits, guides, and so forth that are helping the court or the people that are on trial understand each other, right? And so it's very much like a court system, like a divorce court, except maybe more congenial. I don't know. But it's to help people fully understand the impact of their actions. And it's basically like, I've heard it called a prayer on steroids. The person that developed this method said she had a download, and she basically was told that these spirit guides, these angels, do help us, but we actually have to ask for that help. And so this is a way to really ask for that help. And so I did this Court of Atonement process with her and her coworkers. And the very next day, the narcissist's behavior stopped. Like, she stopped criticizing, she stopped hovering. She pretty much gave my coworker space after that. And in fact, my client said she seemed really unusually reflective. And she was like, I think something's wrong with her. I wanted to ask her if something was wrong and if I should pray for her. And I was like, oh, no, I don't think you should go there, because I don't know. And I don't know if she's still a narcissist or what. But I did figure out that this woman was starting to get reflective, which was pretty amazing, right? And the other thing, which I could not believe, was that she is starting to apologize for her behavior. Oh my goodness. Like, I could have never imagined a result like that, ever. So I am so stunned by this result. She's not going to her management. My client says that she now feels completely relaxed at work, where she was always tense and always worried about, what was going to come next at her. And she now just feels comfortable in her own skin. She doesn't have to worry about this person. It's only been, it's only a week. The last report I had heard was only a week later. I don't know if this narcissist person is going to change and not be a narcissist anymore, or what's going to happen. But if the Court of Atonement and the energy work that I did works in the way that I understand it to work, then this should be a pretty permanent effect, which would be freaking awesome. So in general, I understand that narcissists don't have the desire to change, but if you bring them to a spiritual court system, maybe they really will fully understand the implications of their actions. I will have to say that in a personal experience with a narcissist, I did that as well. I brought somebody into the Court of Atonement, and she was also hovering and criticizing me. And what was fascinating was that after I did this, a third party, somebody else who I've been dealing with, said that they would come in and be a mediator and I wouldn't have to deal with her again. And I was just like, are you serious? Because it's somebody I actually do have to deal with, but not unless, not with, I can use a mediator instead. And my life has been so much better with a mediator. So this Court of Atonement thing is blowing my mind right now. And the energy work I do helps us change our behavior, helps us get out of our emotional state and into that sort of big picture thinking so that we can be like a rock. If we need to be a rock, we can be solid. We don't have to react emotionally. Hey, Genevieve, thanks for joining me. So you're at the tail end, unfortunately, of my story, but please rewind it. You're going to love this story. It's pretty freaking awesome. If you find this to be helpful, just let or you're interested, or you have a narcissist in your life that you need to get off your back, or you need to make peace with, or you need to stand up for yourself, feel free to contact me. I do offer a complimentary consultation. I'm going to add a link in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you about what's going on for you. These methods are powerful. I actually have a new 6-step signature program to help people who've been dealing with abuse from narcissists and borderline personality disorder. And this is based on my own history, my long history of having to deal with it. I've come such a far way. And my 6-step signature program, Uplift, starts with understanding. That's the U. P is for purge the pain. L is for let love in. That's helping us love ourselves and allowing others to love us, because sometimes if we've been hated on too much, we can't even do that. I is for activate your inner guardian. So that's creating healthy boundaries, which, if we've grown up with this narcissism or borderline, we're probably not used to having those boundaries set. And so it becomes very nebulous as to where they stand. But when we can release barriers to having healthy boundaries, life gets so much better. F is for focus on you, because oftentimes if we've been in an abusive relationship, we start to forget who we are and not know what we want, right? And then T is for taking your power back. And that's key, because oftentimes if we end up in a situation with sociopaths, we can feel very much like a victim. And it could be a victim not just of a person, but of our life circumstances. And if we can get out of that, we have so much more power and so much more ability to accomplish the life and manifest the life that we want. But we have to get out of that mindset. So if you know anybody that you think can benefit from healing from a narcissistic journey, who wants to go not just survive in life, but actually to thrive, please have them call me. I can help them go from the cycle of toxic relationships to relationship awesomeness. And I offer a complimentary consultation. And if you're interested, my website is lifelongenerjoy, that's ENERJOY.com. All right. I'll also include a link below about how to contact me. And thank you so much for joining me. If you like this, please hit like, love, and share it widely.